In this tip, we're going to cover projects and project management within the CRM. In addition to, booking appointments, invoices and payments, so on and so forth, managing projects can be a pretty big part of your business, depending on the industry that you're in. And projects can involve many staff members, a lot of moving parts in terms of expenses, supplies, resources, tasks that have to get completed. And so having all of that in one centralized place is very convenient, as well as assigning tasks to staff members and having them get notifications, what tasks they have to complete, so on and so forth. It's a great way to keep everything organized, make sure that your team stays on track, and you can deliver the goods basically to your customers. So to manage projects, on the main tab, you're going to have a projects button, and you have a few different options here. You have view projects, view task list, and new project. So new project goes without saying that it's to create a new project. Then you have your task list and view projects. Right now, we're looking at the view projects page, and from here you can filter to ones that are completed, in progress, waiting for supplies, paused, delayed, so on and so forth. There's different filters, and you can also create a new project and search for projects as well. So from here, you're going to see the date it was created, the title of the project, the client, the budget, and the progress. From there, you have actions as well, edit, invoice, which will automatically convert this project into an invoice, and then you can also delete. Now, one cool thing about the invoice feature is that when you click invoice, you have some options, and I'll show you. You can invoice, and then it says, how do you want to invoice? Do you want to invoice by tasks? Do you want to invoice by tasks and the time that you've spent on the project, or only the time that you've spent on the project? So you have three different options depending on how you want to send that invoice. And once you click this, it doesn't automatically send it because you're likely going to want to make some adjustments or fine tune it a little bit. So it's going to take you to the invoice management page. To show you, for example, I'll do tasks and timesheet. So if I click that one as an example, it pre-populates the customer information, the date of issue, and then it's going to bring me here to this page. Now, unfortunately, it seems that on that particular demonstration project, we didn't have any information. So let me go back here, and maybe this one has some tasks and timesheet. And there we go. So this one does have some information entered. So this one, it has a variety of hours. Of course, you can see here the hours added on the bottom. So that's the timesheet. So hours, and then it puts the date that they were entered, and it puts the cost per hour as well as the number of hours that were worked. And then in this instance, at the beginning as well, because we said invoice tasks as well. So from here, it puts in the tasks as well and what the costs were associated to that. So this is just a quick way that you can create an invoice from that project. I'm going to go back to projects now, and I'll show you editing a project. So we'll walk through the different features that you have available here. So the first thing is, once you create a project, it's going to give you project stats, and it's going to show you the tasks, the timesheet, the supplies, and the expenses. So these are all things relating to various options that you're going to have below here that I'll go over in a moment. But it's basically a summary of statistics relating to the project. At the top, you're going to have this bar here, which tells you the progress that tasks are completed. So in this case, for example, under tasks on our summary, we see that there's 18 hours, 1,200 billable of tasks, and we're at 70% completed for the tasks. Now, if I was to scroll down here and go to tasks, that's because if we see here, we've got 3 tasks, 2 of them are completed, and 1 is still outstanding. So that's why at the top it's showing 70% because there's still 1 task that has to be completed. So from here, you can see basically the stats. That's where you have your timesheet, the hours, supplies. So how many supplies were needed, how many need to be acquired. So maybe there's stuff that you still have to purchase, hasn't been acquired yet for the project. This is helpful for construction projects, contractors. It'll tell you what supplies you have and what ones need to be acquired still. And then your expenses. These are actual expenses that you've logged, and they will go in the system. Now your expenses for a project don't just stay here. They actually go under your finances tab as well. So expenses. So if you add something here for a project, it automatically adds it into your finances tab under expenses. So your general details. So you have the project title, then you have the client it's assigned to, the start date, and the deadline. As well as the priority, that just prioritizes where your projects appear in your list. Some of these fields are optional, of course. So like, the start date, the deadline, those are optional fields. You don't have to. The budget, you don't have to assign a budget, but you can. As well as the status. This is an important one because you're going to want to update the status of a project. Initially, it starts off and it's in progress, but you can always, let's say you have to pause a project, or a project is delayed or completed, or if it's deleted, things like that, you can update the status here as well. Now, when a status gets updated, the customer is going to be updated as well with the current status. Now, below that, after you've saved the project, it's going to show you the project approve and sign link. And we'll copy that and we will just paste that in a new window here. And we'll show you. So this is going to show basically, the overall kind of summary of everything. So it shows the client, the overview of all those details that were in the general tab. It shows the project tasks that have to be done. It also shows the supplies and materials list, the project files, if any have been uploaded, and then the customer signature. In this case, this project has already been signed, so that's why it's showing the signature there. So if we go back to our project now, I'll show you after one that hasn't been signed so you can see how it gets signed. So then we have our box here where we can put a description. Tasks, we can add tasks. So add new task, the hours required, what the hourly rate is if there is one, description, the deadline for the task, and who it's going to be assigned to. So you choose someone from the list, add notes, and then save new task. The minute you do that, the person who's assigned to the task is going to receive that in their list every morning. It'll say you still have the following tasks to complete. And also when they go into projects and view task list, it'll show up there as well. But you don't have to assign it, so you can leave it unassigned, and you can also change the assignment to somebody else. So now it's assigned to myself, so you can change assignment at any time, and you can also leave them unassigned, and they'll just show up in the general list for anybody, because anyone that's involved in the project will be able to complete those tasks, even though they're not assigned to a particular person. So moving on from tasks, we have our supplies and materials and equipment. So from here, you can add in different supplies. So give it a title, description, how many of them do you need? What's the supply status? Do you need to acquire it or do you have it on hand? And so that's where you can put in all these different things. So for example, contractors, you'll be able to put in the different supplies that you're going to need for the particular project. And then once you have them on hand, you can actually just mark them off and say like, okay, the mirrors, we have them on hand now. So boom, that's done. So it's a great way of keeping track of the things that you're going to need to get the job done. Now your timesheet log, this is where you can log time as well. So if there was 8 hours put in on a project, you can put in there was 8 hours. What day was it put in? And we'll say okay, so today for example it was put in 8 hours. How much per day? So we're charging let's say $4.50, and you can base that on the number of hours that you're working as well, whatever it happens to be. But you can enter the amount for that particular day, what the total price is. And the reason it's per day and not per hour is because you might have a couple staff members that were working included in this time entry. Now you don't want to have 50 time entries that get added to an invoice, because then that invoice is going to look huge. It's going to be multiple pages. So instead, you could put in the total hours. So hours logged, you could put in 54 for example, and then the total cost for the day, you could work that out to whatever the different hourly rates were added up. Let's say it's $4,500 for the day that gets charged to the customer, and then you can put in the notes. You can say who worked and things like that. Or if you want to have multiple entries, you can, and you could just put it in for that one individual person. You could say 5 hours, 450, and then you select the person who had actually done the work. So there's different options there. If you leave it unassigned, you can bill for a team, basically is what I was trying to show you a second ago. Then you have your expenses and costs. Here's where, just like putting in a regular expense, you can just add in the details here. So you put in the dollar amount, whether or not there was taxes paid, the currency, expense date, reference number, your vendor details, receipt, so on and so forth. And they will show up here in the list according to the actual the project that you're looking at as well. So moving on, we have events and reminders. So here's where you can schedule events for your calendar. Like we have to go, down to a place and install a pipe. So install pipe, and then we can choose the date that that's supposed to happen, the time required, and if this is getting assigned to somebody in particular. So then we can add that event. Then we have files and attachments, and here's where you can upload files, and they'll appear here. That'll be useful for the project. Then we also have assigned users. Now, anyone who's not assigned to the project won't be able to see or interact with the project. They also won't show up in the list when you're doing things like above here, when you're adding tasks. They won't show up in the list here where's the tasks? So your project tasks, this is where you're going to be able to choose the people here that are assigned to a particular task. And if they're not assigned to the project, they're not going to be able to see anything. So it's very important that when you want someone assigned to the project, you should go down here and assign them to the project so that you'll have those people that are working on the project itself. This is to avoid cluttering up the projects tab for other users with projects that they're not involved in, so on and so forth. So this helps out a lot to limit that as well. So then finally we have customer signature. This will show up after the customer is signed, and you'll be able to see the full sheet of what they had signed, what they agreed to. So here's their signature, and this is exactly a snapshot of when they signed it. So if you add things down the road, well, the customer hasn't signed for those things. So this is where the customer gets a copy and you get a copy of what they signed initially to sign off on. So it's important to set up the project if you want them to sign so that it gets signed properly for what they're looking to have done. So that's essentially how this looks from a project standpoint. It's basically got a ton of different options you can put in there to keep things organized. It's best to just go through it. You'll see this show up as signed and approved once it's signed and approved. Let's see, I don't think the other project, let's click into it and let's see. Okay, so by default, once you set up a project, it's going to say approve and sign because this one hasn't been signed yet. So that's where this link, you can copy it and then you can send that to your customer, and you can also approve and sign. And so if we hit approve and sign, the customer will actually be able to sign for this on the spot. So you can do this on a tablet or on a computer, whatever the case may be, and then they can say, I approve this project, right? So that's basically how that works. So now we're going to go to the next tab because we've gone over the information you have for a project, and then now we're going to show you basically, and we've seen the list, we're going to show you the task list as well. So if we click on view task list, it's going to show there's only one project right now that has a task outstanding. And so this one, it's just this one task here that needs to be completed. The other ones are crossed off because you can see they're already done. So that's where you can see, and if there's multiple projects, it's going to show multiple tabs like this, all closed, and then you can simply click into one to enter and see what needs to be done for that particular task, or sorry, that particular project, and then you can see the task list and you can interact with these tasks from here. So if you click edit, it's going to take you to the actual product page, project page, and you'll be editing that particular task as you can see here. So a lot of different options and fields available for you with your project. It's a really good feature and tool to keep things optimized and streamlined for your business, to keep everything in one place so that when you're working on customer projects, everything's in one place. You have a record of it. You can go back and see how things progressed. Down the road, if you're working on similar type projects, you can compare them with the statistics and everything like that as well. But it is a really good idea that if you are working on projects, you should take advantage of the project management section so that you can keep everything organized, work with your team, be very productive, and also collect those customer signatures for projects to get them approved and finalized. So this is the project management tool in a nutshell. A lot of options. Play around with it, try out, put in some projects, and you'll be very pleased with the results.